Welcome to Pensar Basketball Live. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Toronto Raptors, specifically three players, Christian Coloco, Grady Dick, who had a brilliant game last night. We're going to look at some tape from Grady Dick. I have, as promised, been working on a video breakdown of the first three games just to look at some of the good things that are happening for the Toronto Raptors, because there are a lot of good things happening for the Raptors as they navigate this new offense. And there are some bad things, and we're going to look at that too. And that video should be out tomorrow afternoon. But today, I just wanted to look at Grady because I think that there's something very special about this young player that I think Raptor fans should be really excited about. And I know, right? We were talking about it all year on the channel last year that, hey, the Raptors need to tank because you need young assets. You need a really good draft pick because you need a really good young player. And we wanted them to tank at the deadline, and they didn't, right? And I remember very, very vividly going on a live, or it was one of the videos where I said, hey, maybe what they were thinking was this draft is pretty flat from about 7 to 15, 8 to 15, and there might be some serious talent, and there's parity. And there you go. The player who a lot of people thought was the top 10 pick falls to you at 13. My draft day reaction notwithstanding, I've been very impressed with Grady Dick. And a lot of people who understand basketball have also been very impressed with Grady Dick, going right back to his days in Kansas. And, you never know. You never know. You put a college kid who's playing against Division I competition, you put him in the NBA, and maybe he's a slightly different player. It wouldn't have been the first time, but the Raptors did their homework on Grady Dick, and they felt that his game was going to translate beautifully to what they're trying to do. And I think if I speak for some Raptor fans, at least a lot of my friends, I think for most of us last year, we were like, okay, what is it that you're actually doing here, right? Because we got the Fred, we got the Pascal, now you got a center who doesn't shoot, you got Precious, and you got all these twitchy wings who can't shoot. Like, what are we doing here? And then boom, you get Grady Dick. And you get so far, 3 games in, a very impressive season from Scotty Barnes. So we're going to look at some stats. We're going to look at some analytics. We're going to look at the first 3 games. We're going to break down some Grady tape. And we're going to ask the really important question: can this work? So let me hit that intro, and we'll talk about it. All right, let's get that intro out of the way. All right, first of all, JD, you just broke the history books, because I do not believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think we've ever had a super chat before the live started. So thank you so much for this. It's very, very nice of you. I want to take 2 minutes, if you'll bear with me. I did a live this morning. I don't think it was fully coherent. My intention was good. I don't know if my delivery was great, and it took way too long. Let me sum up everything that I said in 2 minutes. And I summed it up on Twitter as well. Last year, a lot of Raptor fans, a lot of Scotty Barnes fans were very frustrated. And a lot of people who were, rooting for a teardown were very frustrated with how the young players on this team were being treated. And we complained about certain players on the bench not being utilized properly, and their numbers weren't looking good. And we were like, come on, give them some time. And as we heard the media say, the young guys suck, and, Scotty this, Scotty that. And now we're having a new system, and this is what we asked for. We got what we asked for. We asked for movement. We asked for less isolation basketball. We got it. We asked for Fred VanVleet to leave. We got it. We asked for Nurse to go. We got it. We got everything we wanted, almost. And, we have this new offensive system, and, now suddenly we have a max player and a star player in Pascal Siakam who's struggling. And it's very tempting. I just, again, bear with me for a minute, because I think this is a message that can hopefully bridge the divide between stay on your side and that hashtag that's going around Twitter. The reason wars don't stop, my grandfather told me this, was because once you shed blood on land, it stays in the soil for 6 generations. That's what he said. It's probably not true, but it certainly feels like it holds true, right? And every time somebody decides to retaliate, it just continues. So right now, Scotty's playing well, and Pascal's not playing well. And so there's a temptation. There's a temptation to push back and be like, oh, you remember all that stuff you said about Pascal and all the stuff you said about Scotty? How does that look now? Blah, 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 blah. And then maybe a month from now, Scotty's not playing well and Pascal is playing well. Or maybe Scotty, is not, maybe Pascal gets traded and he blows up on another team, and then it starts all over again. Now, how's your boy doing? Not relevant, not important. They're on the same team. Let's stop it. Media, stop it. We stop it. Let us extend the courtesy to Pascal Siakam as he tries to figure his way into this offense and out of this offense, that we wish the media and perhaps certain fans had extended to Scotty as he was doing, what he was trying to do yesterday. And I'll share with you something that could happen if you do this. If you trust me on this, and I take my unhinged advice, this is, a person who's been very critical of me, over the last couple of years, and probably for good reason. And, I wrote this post on Facebook, and she said, I can't believe that I would like one of your posts, but yes, I do. Wow, I'm impressed. A post where you don't bash Siakam. Wow, wow, wow. Do you know how I would have responded to this post in almost any other circumstance? I would have defended myself. I would have been like, I'm not bashing Siakam. And then it would have continued all over again. So trying to be an adult, I said, Scotty inspires good. Thanks. Working on changing. Thanks for putting up with it. Right? Genuinely trying my best here. Right? And look at her response. It's freaking incredible. Right? And I hate to sound like Rocky in Rocky 4, when he addresses the USSR crowd and he says, if I can change and you can change, everybody can change. But you know what? That's exactly what it is. Functional fan bases that have good teams do not have a lot of this guy sucks. No, this guy sucks. They usually talk about other teams. So let's try to turn the leaf. I think the Raptors are on the precipice of doing something good with their roster. Some of the roster moves have me a little bit scratching my head. Some of these pieces don't make sense. I think we can all agree on that. Probably, hopefully, maybe, that we can agree, that Dennis Schroeder may not be like the long-term solution. And maybe Jakob Poeltl is not a long-term solution. And maybe there is a Pascal Siakam trade at some point down the line. And maybe Jalen McDaniels doesn't work out for you. But I don't think the Philadelphia 76ers right now are crying over whether or not Kelly Oubre is working out for them, or whether, they think that DeAnthony Melton is going to be a star, or whether or not, James Harden is with or not the team. I mean, if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you're like, yo, we got something in Tyrese Maxey. We got something in Joel Embiid. We got an MVP, and we got a rising all-star. This is great. The other pieces can come. When you are building a team, you must build from the ground up. What is the ground? The ground is the foundation. Okay. Every great team has a foundation. I don't think the Oklahoma City Thunder are too concerned about whether or not Ousmane Dieng works out. He might work out and he might be great, but I don't think the success of that team hinges on him. It hinges on Shea. It hinges on Chet. It hinges on Jalen Williams and Josh Giddey. That's their core. So for the Raptors, what's their core, right? For a lot of years, we've had some confusion. Is it Fred? Is it Pascal? Is it Fred, Pascal, OG? How far can you go with this core? I think we're getting a clearer indication of what that core looks like. Now, I understand that some people are going to disagree that Christian Koloko is a part of this. I get that. Please understand, he's one of my favorite players, and I may be unusually high on him, but the analytics on him tell me that he is a very good player for his age and that he could be something more. And certainly, the opportunity in last year's offense necessarily was not predicated to him. I think his skill development is still far, but his shot looks butter smooth. I've watched him in a gym shoot it like 20 times from the top and hit all 23s. And I know that a lot of guys can shoot in an empty gym, but man, his shot it's decent, and the free throw percentages line up with that. And there was a growth that you saw at Arizona with him on his free throw percentage. This is a very raw basketball player. Yes, you may consider him a project. Yes, but he has something that very few of these Raptors quote unquote projects have, which is a natural feel for the game, right? He couldn't finish inside the paint to save his life last year. There were a lot of bunnies that he left short, but please understand, he's processing the game. He's seeing things. I remember last year breaking down film of Fred VanVleet and Christian Koloko pick and roll. He dove perfectly. Fred didn't find him. He's doing the right stuff on the basketball court. He has a really good feel for it. This might just be another Pascal Siakam situation. Pascal Siakam is a good, he had a interesting feel for finding gaps in the defense. Christian Koloko also has, in my opinion, very, very interesting mid-roll, short-roll potential. There are some plays in Summer League that stick out. Again, small sample size. He didn't play a ton of minutes for you. But if this guy can get past this respiratory stuff, I think the Raptors have hit on all 3 of their draft picks for the last 3 years. And that's something, isn't it? Shouldn't it be something? Shouldn't that count for something? I think it should. Okay. There was another, I was supposed to download this, and I don't know if I did. But I think, I read a tweet today, which I think really grinded my gears a little bit. And it was about, Masai Ujiri sort of losing his touch, right? And I think I understand where that's coming from. We have a general manager / president who has been batting 100 for his entire freaking career here, and now we're a little bit like, hey, come on, we didn't make the play-in, like we lost in the play-in last year. We got bounced in the first round. This is not what you promised. We were promised championships. It's very hard to win championships without a star. And it's very hard to find stars. Even when you draft high, sometimes, you draft 3rd overall, 4th overall, and it turns into not a star. It turns into a Marvin Bagley. This is a process. And I think the Raptors are card counting. I think they're taking very, very small losses in the hopes of finding one big win. There are a lot of teams out there that take small wins, small losses, small wins, small losses, lateral move, lateral move, lateral move. The Raptors, to me, in the interim, they will suffer. The PR move, they will suffer. For how many years did we feel that Masai Ujiri was being too patient with DeMar DeRozan, holding on to him too long? Oh my God, we keep getting bounced the first round, second round, and he just kept building, and he just kept saying patience, 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 and then boom. Look at the record. I want you to look at like kind of a pre-Masai Ujiri, post-Masai Ujiri sort of thing. Oh, we have another super chat. Okay, hang on. Oh, we have. Are you the real Marquise Noel? Ooh, if you are the real Marquise Noel, hey, that's crazy. Thank you so much, man. We have Spider XS. Thank you so much for the super chat sticker. This is crazy. Why y'all are like really blasting the super chats. We got a $399 super chat earlier today, and that was just crazy. Jeff Doughton with a $3.99 super chat. Jeff, are you Jeffrey? Like, are you Jeff's dad? I don't know if these are real super chat people, but if it is, thanks a lot for your support. I actually found out through the grapevine that Jeff watches Pensar basketball and knows about Pensar basketball, and that was really, really nice. If you missed my interview with Jeff's trainer, it was really cool. And when I talked to Brian, Jeff's trainer, he mentioned to me after the day after, he was just like, Jeff's dad just wanted to say thank you for all of your support for Jeff. And I was just like, man, that's super sweet. And so we had a little bit of a conversation too. So if you are that Jeff Doughton, good luck to your son. I've heard some good news over the last few days, so I hope that's still on the table. Okay, thank you all for the super chats, and now I've lost my train of thought. So thanks a lot for that. I'm just kidding. Okay. What was I going to say? Where was I? Someone help me. Okay. Look at the Raptors record. this is historic, right? This is historically. Oh, there's another super chat. Whoa. What's going on here, guys? Okay, Maroon Prince, thank you so much, man. And thank you so much for calling in with everything you've been doing. I really appreciate it. And I really love our conversations. Thank you so much, man. Sometimes this just happens. I don't know what it is, but it just happens. Adam X Adami XX for the super chat sticker. Thank you so much, man. Thanks so much. Thank you guys. Oh my goodness. Jonathan, thank you so much. If you're the same Jonathan Convoy that follows us on Twitter, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You always repost all of our stuff, so thank you so much. And yes, I will get to the Grady film breakdown very, very soon after I just get this out of my system. I'm so sorry. Okay, so Raptors win-loss record. Right now we are 1-2. I don't think we've had a really bad season, but y'all gonna make Rob cry. Okay, you're not gonna make me cry, but thank you so. Oh my gosh, jeez, thank you so much, Daryl. Thanks a lot. I don't know if there's a rumor out there that I'm terminally ill or that I'm dying or something, but thanks a lot for this. Thanks a lot for this support or something. Really appreciate it. Okay, so Raptors win-loss record. Please, please turn your attention to the abysmal 1995, 1996, expansion years. I mean, we're below 500, below 500, below 500, and then we hit 99, 2000, and then we have 3 years of success behind an in prime Vince Carter. First year, Tracy McGrady, he leaves. We're still pretty good. And then we have the period of what I call like the death years, right? This is, I think, the years when a lot of Raptor fans became very sad and jaded by draft decisions that were absolutely horrible. And please go back and look at the Raptors draft record during that time. There was Rafael Arujo, Joey Graham, Charlie Villanueva. Like these were, early first round picks, lottery picks. Andrea Bargnani, I'd be remiss if I don't mention that. So look, there's a lot of mismanagement that went along with this, right? But please look at when Masai Ujiri came on board, right? We're talking 2012, 2013, and look at the sustained peak of success. I mean, we are talking like straight, apart from 2020, 2021, and last year, which was a 500 year, we've never finished under 500 with Masai Ujiri. And that's just insane, right? Like this is one of the most successful teams in the league for a period of over 10 years, a decade of success. Thank you so much, T-Dot's Finest 97, and thanks a lot, Jacob. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. So what I'm saying is this is something that always I come back to, and someone brought it up in yesterday's chat too, where Masai Ujiri said, this Tampa thing, it set us back 5 years. And I think a lot of people brush that comment off, but it always stuck with me. I always wondered, what did he mean by that? This is a team that is very, very big on data tracking, scouting. They have been consistently ahead of the curve when it comes to that. Best in the league, right? When it comes to inventing trends and predicting trends, and they've been very ahead of the curve when it comes. I mean, you've never seen anybody build a champion the way the Raptors built a champion, other than maybe the Detroit Pistons when they traded for Rasheed Wallace, and even that team was just very successful. And the Raptors made those tweaks for Kawhi and Marc Gasol, and they paid a lot for it. They did pay a lot for it. And when you consider the period between 2018, which was making the trade for Kawhi, making the trade for Marc Gasol, and then Tampa, that 2.5-year period, I believe so many assets went out the door. So many draft picks went out the door. So many, and there was a very crucial first round pick that I believe if the Raptors had that over, they probably would pick somebody else, which was Malachi Flynn. But as you recall, we didn't have a March Madness that year. So they had to go on data sets that were incomplete. They had to do workouts in a different way. Scouting was different. So, and the Raptors were at a very big disadvantage because they didn't have a home crowd. So, they tank, they get Scotty Barnes, Then the next year, they trade a first round pick. We're all very critical of it because we see what Christian Brown and Walker Kessler are. But wait 3 years and see what Christian Koloko is. I've been so impressed. I'll agree with you that if, mostly any human being with half a brain cell could make a choice right now between Christian Koloko and Walker Kessler, the choice would be very simple. I get that. Don't worry. I do. I'm not going to defend that. And maybe even Christian Brown and maybe even Andrew Nembhard. There's a lot of players that were picked in that range that I think we could all be pretty upset about. However, worth noting, very much worth noting, that I don't think there's any player picked after Christian Koloko or after Scotty Barnes. Some people can make a case for Franz. I wouldn't, but some people could. Or after Grady Dick so far, in my opinion, from what I've seen, that I would pick over those guys. So I think they've gotten 3 draft picks right in a row. Not super thrilled about, what came of Delano Banton. Not super thrilled of what came of David Johnson. Sure, fine. Those are 46 and 47 picks, and they're usually a crapshoot. So how does this all work? Who fits? What are the analytics? Let's get to it. Sorry, I'm not paying as much attention to the super chats, but there was another one, Larry Kane. Thank you so much, man. This community really is great, and it's great because of a lot of the people who have, commented in this live, but it's also great because of Larry. And Larry, I didn't get a chance to reach out to you personally and say this, but I'm very, very sorry for your loss for Robbie. And I was really, really excited to see that you got a new puppy. Yeah. Did you say Rob found coffee? Rob did find coffee, a Lavazza coffee downstairs. I'm still waiting for my coffee sponsor, yo. All these betting sites keep reaching out to me, and I keep having to tell them I'm not going to sponsor betting. I'm not going to sponsor betting. I don't care what you're paying me. I'm not going to sponsor betting. I just want a coffee site. So if you run a coffee company, sponsor this video, sponsor this channel, please. I love coffee. I don't know. Technically, I'm sponsoring a drug, but whatever. It's a good drug. All right. Okay. So a little discombobulated here. So I recently, last year I was using dunks and threes for analytics reports, and occasionally I would use 538, and neither of those sites are refreshing anymore. So I would use Crafted NBA, and they haven't refreshed for this year either. And I hope they're not going out of business, or these sites are maybe growing to be increasingly less valuable. And I hope, if they put up a paywall on Crafted, I would totally subscribe. But for now, I will use Cleaning the Glass. So this is, Scotty's last 3 games. Just to put this into perspective, and I just want to get this out of the way. Scotty Barnes, through 3 games, granted, 3-game sample size, is scoring 1.26 points per possession. What does this mean, Rob? 1.26 points per possession, and why is it so relevant to you? Well, it's relevant to me for a few reasons. Number one, this was against 3 pretty decently good defensive teams, right? I think we can agree that Rudy Gobert and Joel Embiid are probably 2 of the best defensive centers that you're going to go up against. Would you agree? I think I would. I would definitely say so. This is a lot of size. Nikola Vucevic, Alex Caruso. I mean, there's, I know Chicago gets a bit of a bad rep for defense because DeMar and Zach LaVine are not good defenders and they're wing defenders. But overall, Chicago is a pretty good defensive team. And so is Minnesota. And, he's doing this against really good defensive teams. 1.26 points per possession. Let me put this into context for you. This is higher. I mean, very unlikely that he sustains this unless he gets way, 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 way better from 3 and probably starts getting to the line 8-9 times a game and shoots really well from the line. 1.26 points per possession is higher than any mark in Klay Thompson's career. It is 0.5 or 0.1, 0.01, no, 0.1 points less, or 0.5 points less. Hold on. 0.05 points. It is just better than the mark that Jason Tatum posted last year. And it is better than any mark of Kawhi Leonard's career. if he could sustain this for a full year, he's a superstar. An analytic that is sticking out like sore thumb to me. Nope. This. Please look at box plus minus here. Now, I would prefer estimated plus minus, but as I mentioned, Dunks and Threes is no longer publishing. So we're going to use box plus minus right now until I figure out where to get the data that I want. And I will find it, and I will subscribe, and I will pay for it. So for now, we use box plus minus. Please refer your attention to the advanced stats and look at Scotty's advanced stats. 5.7 box plus minus. What does this mean, Rob? 5.7 box plus minus. Categorically, let me put it into perspective. My read on this, historically, looking through all the seasons in NBA history, and believe me, please believe me, I think I've spent 8.5 to 9 hours a day sometimes just looking through old players and seeing how their analytics stack up to this player and that player, and trying to reframe my perspective on what the player was actually doing on the basketball court. 5.7 box plus minus. So the box plus minus cutoffs are 0. 0 represents a league average, right? Most players who play more than league average players. So below 0, so around, let's say, who would be a good example right now? Well, pretty much most of the roster: Malachi, Chris Boucher, Grady Dick, even after yesterday's game, Jalen McDaniels, Precious Achua, Jakob Poeltl, even right now, Gary Trent Jr., and unfortunately also Pascal Siakam. All of these people technically are posting a box plus minus that is in line with a fringe bench player. Okay. If you're around 0-ish, you're about a low level starter, right? Once you start going closer to 1, I would say 1, 2, you're like a decent starter. So Scotty, for most of his career so far, which has been his rookie season and his sophomore season, has been between 0 and 1, which is very positive, by the way. Most rookies do not crack 0. And this is why people say rookies do not impact winning. Now, yesterday, I was very adamant that Scotty was having the best game of his life. Maybe not life, maybe life. It could have been the best game of his life. I know there have been some more impressive box score numbers, but his command of the game yesterday was insane. And when I was watching it, even when he had 7 points at halftime, I was like, he's been incredible. Everything he's doing on the basketball court is impacting winning. And that showed up in his box plus minus. So his box plus minus went from 2.8 through 2 games to 5.7, which is a crazy jump, which should probably tell you that his game yesterday was actually close to a superstar. Yesterday's Scotty Barnes, which is right here, yesterday's game was superstardom. He put up one game where he had the impact of a superstar against a division rival on a back-to-back. Scotty Barnes yesterday was a superstar. He may not be a superstar for the rest of the year, but he was a superstar yesterday for one game. This 5.7 box plus minus, let me continue. Between 3 and 4 box plus minus, 4 box plus minus was Jason Tatum in year 3, the year after his sophomore slump. That year, Jason Tatum was a 4. Right now, Scotty's a 5.7. Just again, 3 to 5, 3.5 to 5 is all-star. On the lower end of it, which is 3, you have your, sorry to say this, Pascal Siakams, right? On the higher end of it, you might have a Donovan Mitchell or a Devin Booker, okay? So that's the spectrum. Once you get past 6, you start entering superstar level. So around 6 to 8 is all NBA guys, but real all NBA guys, not my team was really good. Sorry. Not my team was really good and, I'm the best guy on the team, so I made all NBA because the voters are crazy. But really, analytically, an all NBA guy. And I think those guys would probably be Shea last year. Who's another good example of that? Zion when he plays. Maybe Tyrese Halliburton. Like when you start getting into that high value replacement. Who's another example of this? Vince Carter-ish, around there, right? Like that is it's an all NBA caliber season, and you are truly one of the better players in the NBA. You're one of the elite crop. You're like pushing top 10. You're 15. There aren't, there aren't 17 guys better than you in the NBA. Guaranteed. Once you're past 6.5, 6, that's the level. And once you get past 8, 6 to 8 is kind of like, I would say 8 is like right at the cusp of 8 is like peak Shaq, Kobe, right? And then when you start getting to 10, now you're touching Nikola Jokic, Michael Jordan, prime LeBron, peak Giannis. It's a rare air, man. Kobe never touched 10. He never touched 9. I think he touched 8 once. James Harden clipped 8, I think once. It's rare to get that good. What does it mean, though? It means how much better is the team with you on the court? That's really what box minus is. It's a per 100 estimate of how much better the point differential is with you on the court versus off the court. Obviously, if you play more minutes, this number is way more accurate. If you play fewer minutes, obviously small sample size, it's gonna hurt you. So 3 games in, Scotty is a 5.7 box plus minus. That is freaking incredible. If he sustained this, he's showing you all NBA. To put this into context, Pascal Siakam on his career has never touched 5. So this is like next level for a third year player. I don't think he can sustain 5.7. Just going to be real with you. It seems hard, but if he could, holy shit, you really, really have a future MVP here. The numbers on him are mind-boggling. Okay, Grady Dick, of course, yesterday's game, incredible. Christian Koloko last year, just to complete the thought on the analytics, he was truly, truly, truly like special. Oh man, there's another super chat. I'm so sorry, guys. I was trying to. Thank you, Marquise Noel. Thanks, man. Okay. Zigsaw Puzzle saying, so by game 4, his box plus minus will be at 11.4. He would have to play one of the greatest games in NBA history for that to happen. And the team, the players that come in for him would have to play some of the worst games in NBA history. Yikes, man. Y'all are spamming the super chat, eh? Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay. So my point is, Christian Koloko's analytics profile last year put him in the 92nd-ish percentile, 93rd percentile as a defender. Very low in terms of an offensive player, but defensively, he was in elite territory as a pick setter. He was in elite territory as a rim protector. I think you have 3 players that are all really, really smart that fit 0.5 offense really well. And now you've adjusted and you've got a coach who can do it for you, who can actually implement this. So as much as we have been critical about some of these pieces not fitting in, actually the foundation for what you're trying to build is here. What you need to do is put pieces around it that actually work. But the pieces that you have to put around it, you can find those pieces. Now, I know that everyone's thinking of the doomsday, prophecy, right? Like, what if Pascal walks? What if this person walks? What if you can't extend Gary? Whatever. I wonder if, I had a very, very serious problem with them not extending Pascal and not extending Gary and not extending Precious. 3 games into the season, all 3 players have struggled immensely. Immensely. And I'm once again thinking, did they see something that I didn't see? Maybe they knew. Maybe they knew that these guys would struggle with an offense like this outside of Nick Nurse's offense. There was a second thought that some people presented, which said, we really don't know who these players are because of how we played last year, because of how we played defense, because of how we played offense. It's really bad. It's really difficult to determine. And I think that that's a really fair point too, right? I was very critical last year that Fred VanVleet isn't as good as his numbers look right now because the offense is rigged for him. And that was my, critique last year. And so, okay, let's see what Fred VanVleet's analytics look like after 10 games in Houston, and we'll compare it. We'll see, was it Nurse? Was it the system? Was it the defenders around him? Or is he really that great? People, this is not a Raptor specific thing. People have made this claim about Kawhi Leonard. There were legitimately people in 2018 who were saying Kawhi Leonard is a system player. Outside of Greg Popovich's system, he's going to be a bust. He actually became better outside of Greg Popovich's system. In fact, his year after the Raptors was actually even better than his year with the Raptors. The first year with the Clippers was actually one of his peak years. So I say all of that to say this, that building the foundational pieces is the hardest part of team building. Finding DeMar and Kyle was super duper duper hard. I mean, technically Brian Colangelo found those guys, but finding those guys was really hard, right? Once you found them as your guys and you put them in the right place by trading Rudy Gay and trading Andre Bargnani and all that stuff, once you got the clutter out of the way and you put the offense around those guys and you put them into leadership positions on your team, well, then suddenly you're filling in Norman Powell's and OG Anunoby's and Pascal Siakam's and Jonas Valanciunas', and it doesn't really matter because that's not what your team is about. Your team can swap out those tertiary pieces and secondary pieces and tertiary pieces because you got your core guys. Now we can agree that DeMar and Kyle as core guys probably weren't enough to bring you to a championship. But need I remind you, they did make an Eastern Conference Finals, which is nothing to scoff at, right? I think if all things go well, both guys are Hall of Famers. And you built you built a team around those guys. Good on you, right? So now, what about this iteration of the Raptors? Because DeMar is in Chicago and Kyle is on his last legs in Miami. So what are we doing here? Well, I think that we are at least partially building around these three guys. And you can add OG Anunoby, and if Precious pops, you can add Precious to it. And you can probably think of those guys as the building blocks of the future. And guess what? They're all 26 and under. And maybe if Gary Trent Jr. can become a little bit better as a playmaker, you could possibly add him into that too. And then you have cap space. Christian Koloko is still under a rookie contract after this year. Grady Dick is under a rookie contract, and Scotty Barnes is under a rookie contract. Even if you extend OG, you have nothing but cap space. So what if, in this maybe terrible asset management, but what if the doomsday prophecy is in fact that you're going to let guys like Gary walk, and Otto and Thad and Boucher? What if you're just going to let them walk? And then you're going to use the cap space and you're going to have like one kind of like soft tank year where you're going to sign a whole bunch of players and you're going to use that cap space to find pieces that actually work around players that you can build around. What if that is what if the worst case scenario that everyone is dreading of all these guys walking isn't actually that bad, right? Fred walked. Would you agree that you would rather have Dennis come in for the mid-level exception than Fred, sign for an extension? Yes. We have a way of thinking about this, which is always like, you got to retain the asset. You got to retain the asset. Yes. If you're capped out, you should retain the asset. However, in certain situations, and of course, if the asset is worth retaining and if the asset can be acquired and retained at a fair price, yes, you should retain the asset. But just signing a player for the sake of signing a player sometimes can backfire, right? Obviously, like we let Danny Green walk. He's still in the NBA. Should we have retained him? I don't know. We get a lot of flack for letting a lot of guys walk. We let a lot of older guys walk. We let Serge walk, Marc Gasol walk, Kyle sort of walk, right? And there is this idea of like, well, you should get something for those guys. And maybe they will get something at the deadline for some of these guys if they decide to trade them, or maybe they work. But my point with this video is you have a core. At least you have some core pieces that really fit. So let's look at that Grady tape. Enough stalling, Rob. I think Grady played about as perfect a game as you could expect from a rookie last night. So let's look at what he did and why it was so special. Okay. I'm going to slow this down. I'm going to make myself really, really small on the screen, and hopefully we can all see this. It's already slowed down. So hopefully we will have some ability to just break it down. Okay. Did someone say, I see, interesting to see Jalen McDaniels well above 0. Yes, his defense has been very solid, but his offense has been dreadful. Yeah, his offense has been really bad. I don't understand why my throat is hurting so much, but okay, let's get into this. Okay, Malachi, and this is Grady's first basket, right? Look at I don't know what Philadelphia is doing, leaving Grady Dick wide open. But one thing that just consistently popped out about his night to me was how quickly he gets this shot off. There's no thought. Look at how prepared he is to shoot this shot. There's absolutely nothing the defense is going to do to recover in time. He's already moving into it. Y'all see him at the top of the screen? Okay. So this is his catch and gather. Hold on, let me try to make this bigger so I can see the. Okay. Gone. It's already gone. Did you see how quick that was? And it's over and over. And there are examples where it's even better than that. But like, it's crazy to me, the shot preparation. And like, look at this one. So this is Danny Green and Pat Beverly, both incredibly smart defenders. And by the way, you also have Joel Embiid here, who's an incredibly smart defender and a very good defender at that. And look at how Grady is able to manipulate this. Now, sort of slips the screen there. Now, if Joel Embiid comes up on him, I guarantee you he's passing this ball to Precious Achiuwa. You can see how much spacing Scotty and Scotty and Boucher are actually providing, which is not very much. So Grady technically has a guy trailing and a guy who's about to contest, but look at the size and look at the quickness of this release and how easily he's able to get it off. And because Joel Embiid doesn't come up, but I guarantee you in a situation where Joel Embiid had actually come up to contest, he would have passed the Precious Achiuwa right behind him. And that is the, let's say, advantage of building up around a big playmaker. And Darko Rajakovic talked about it yesterday in the postgame. And this one is really impressive, right? This is right to end the fourth quarter. This is time and score. How many times have we seen a young player not know time and score? And this was the most interesting thing in the world because, again, time and score, right? There's a typical thing of holding for the last shot. And maybe if this doesn't go in, people complain, right? But this is a clean corner look for one of your best three-point shooters, and Joel Embiid is late. And they manipulate the defense. And I will almost guarantee you, I don't have insight on this, but I'll guarantee you that Scotty and Grady have talked about this exact play before, that, hey, typically when the clock is running down, at the end of the first quarter, the other team is just sagging off and waiting for you to run out the clock. And they basically relax before the clock gets to about 5. And then they start looking for who's going to score. And here you get Grady behind Joel Embiid. You get him behind the defense. Look at where, hold on, let me pull this back. Joel Embiid is not looking at Grady Dick right now. He's looking at Scotty Barnes thinking, he's going to probably pass to Precious. And Scotty just manipulates him. And it's when he passes, look at where Joel Embiid recovers. And it's too late, by the way. Boom. Joel Embiid, the pass is gone. Joel Embiid is still looking at Scotty. That is brilliant. And now, by the time he recovers, instead of, second guessing himself, potentially trying to do a pump fake and then a drive and then getting blocked by Patrick Beverly or a defender who recovers. This is the NBA. You have to think fast. This is Joel Embiid. You are a rookie. Please understand this. The potential to look so stupid if this shot gets blocked. But this is not a normal rookie. This is a guy who's been doing this since he was a kid. And he knew exactly how much time, boom. He got that shot off faster. He had the presence of mind to know that he had to get it off faster. And his hands are down. Look at Joel Embiid doing his airplane thing. This was brilliant. It took less than 0.4 seconds for him to get that shot off. It was so freaking impressive. Watching it in real time was really something. I will interrupt your film session for another breakdown. Another super chat. This is absolutely nuts. I don't know what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to break a world record for Raptors YouTube? Because let me tell you this, with Ranga's $399 super chat this morning, we're talking about like quite literally like we're talking about like $700 in the last, like, this is crazy. Thank you guys so much. That's nuts. Thank you so much. RKER TV, the king of all Raptors media, KOARM, Rob at Pensari Basketball, the king of all kings, facts, truths, and he backs things up. Keep on keeping on our humble king. Geez, that is just, I don't know how to accept that. That's very nice of you. I've never been called king of anything. That's very nice of you. Thank you so much. Nor do I want to be king of anything, but that's very nice of you. Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate the videos and the content. Thank you. Moving on. Okay, let's do this. This is going to include some misses. This is going to include a lot of other stuff too. Don't worry. It's not all just makes. It's just all of Grady's plays. Okay. Now Grady comes off. Boom. Jakob getting, I believe, Kelly Oubre. Just enough space. To those of you who say Jakob Poeltl isn't doing shit out there, Jakob Poeltl gave him a clean window to get that shot off. And again, every single shot we've seen Grady hit so far, and I believe he's got 8 points, 9 points so far on 3 threes. Every single shot was like shot ready, boom, out of his hands. Shot ready, boom, out of his hands. There isn't much you can do with a shooter this size. And the way he reads the court, and it's just like, look at how he got himself open on that. There was another play, by the way, he should have had more points. There was a play where he comes up and he passes the ball to Gary Trent, and I don't know if this video contains that play, but my video breakdown tomorrow will, where he relocates to the corner and Gary takes a contested 2, and he should have easily passed. It would have been another 3. I'd almost guarantee the way he was feeling himself, that was 3 points lost. And yeah. Mistakes. Like, how many guys can this guy curl off of to just get open? It's unfortunate we can't see. So it's Chris Boucher moving down. He comes up. They lose sight of him. Jakob pick. Boom. So to anyone who says that a half-court offense must always start with some sort of breakdown, this is the half-court offense. You can do this all day. I understand you need the personnel to do this. You need screeners. You need movements. You need movement shooters, and you need your movement shooters to hit shots. You need cutters to manipulate the defense. But do you notice something that happened in that play that hardly anybody needed to dribble the basketball? The Raptors had a scrimmage. This was, I want to say, about a week and a half ago, or I think it was after the first preseason game or before the first preseason game. They had a scrimmage where you weren't allowed to dribble the basketball, and everyone was just out of sorts during it. But this is what you can do without dribbling the basketball. It's so funny. I don't think I've ever seen a team go complete 180 on a play style in my life. And I'm not surprised that people are struggling to adjust, guys like Boucher, Gary, Pascal. I'm not surprised they're struggling to adjust, because this is a completely different philosophy on how to play. And yeah, anyways, let's move on. But you can do this. Like Kevin Huerter has been doing this. Klay Thompson has been doing this off of Kevon Looney, screens and elevator screens, and just coming off. And it's just not possible to stop. Reggie Miller used to do this. Rip Hamilton used to do this. I mean, it's not easy to stop this. There's so many different ways to score a basketball. And I think Grady is showing you a way to score the basketball that we just haven't seen in a while, Okay, a Dennis Schroeder miss. Again, look at him catching the basketball. He's so ready. And this is brilliant, because he doesn't do exactly what you think. He does exactly what you think he's going to do there. The next play, he manipulates the defense and I believe yesterday I talked about it. It was this lady. She got press. All right. Scotty Barnes. Just focus on Grady here. Passed. Got him. Wait a second. Nope, there's the next play. What the hell? This is not complete. Sorry, guys. There was another play, and I apologize that I should have checked if that was included in this package, and it's included in the highlights that I'm doing tomorrow, but this, I guess, is just a little bit of a preview. There is a play where he completely shook the defense with a, like it was a shot fake or a pass fake. So we're going to definitely get into that. But what I'm saying is this is how your half court offense is going to work without an elite downhill guard. So how much better would this work with a downhill guard and a big who could stretch the floor? Well, if you're two pieces away, then maybe it just helps to know that you have these pieces working for you. They're building something here for sure. This is the first time that I think the core players and the play style and the coach are in alignment. And I'm happy to see that the core players that we're talking about are still outside their prime. I think OG has a way to go. I think there's really promising data on OG so far this year as well, guys. I know we haven't talked too much about OG, but seriously, like he's been good. Like take a look at OG's box plus minus. Like he's been incredible. His 4.4 defensive box plus minus, I think, would be like the top of Kawhi's career. He's at a 4.7. That's an all-star. OG and Scotty so far this year for you have been an all-star. I don't think Pascal Siakam has played anywhere close to his best basketball. If they can be like 33, if they can play 66% as good as they've been, and that's hard to, predict or estimate, but let's say that OG and Scotty can be 33%. 66% as good as they've been. And Pascal Siakam can be almost as good as he was last year or as good as he was last year. And your defense can stay somewhat in line, and you have Grady coming off the bench and, coming off these screens, and you have Boucher and Precious, and they get better and better at cutting back door and setting screens, and you have Jakob setting screens and Scotty and OG being able to set screens, and you have inverted pick and rolls, and you have, these very versatile lineups offensively where you can have wings that play big positions and bigs that play wing positions, and you have big playmakers like Scotty and Grady. I think this could work. Now, I do want to say one thing that I don't think I got got off my chest yesterday, and I think I've been thinking about it a lot today, and I just want to say it. The Dennis Schroeder initiation stuff needs to stop, and I think the person who would benefit most from that is Pascal Siakam. So we saw a lot of point Siakam in the bubble. Sorry, in the bubble, not in the bubble, in Tampa. And we saw a lot of it last year, right? And I think for the first 11 games, 11 or 12 games, we saw a lot of Scotty and Pascal initiation between those two. And we saw Fred sort of being off the ball, spacing, trying to provide space, and he was really struggling. And then, of course, when Pascal went out, Fred started splitting duties with Scotty, and then it was downhill from there. Pretty much our offense went off. We treaded water. We stayed 500 through that stretch, but it really wasn't the same after that. I think they were trying something. I think it was mandated by management that, hey, we want to move away from Fred being a point guard because he's not really very good at it. And now we're kind of reliving the same nightmare with Dennis Schroeder, right? Decision making hasn't been great. It's going to be highlighted in the video package tomorrow. There's a lot of passes that are off target, passes that are delayed, passes to the wrong guy. So my question is, what can Dennis Schroeder do that Pascal Siakam can't do? Can someone answer that question for me? Chat, let me know. What does Dennis Schroeder do better than Pascal Siakam? And why? Because look, Dennis Schroeder last year, please understand this. Dennis Schroeder has been a very high usage player for most of his career. This is the highest assist to usage ratio of his life. So he has never played this position that he's playing right now as a primary facilitator ever in the NBA. He has never played this position. His assist percentage has always been considerably lower. It's astronomically higher than it has ever been before. Here's the other thing. If you go back and you look at Dennis Schroeder's usage throughout his entire career, you will find one anomaly season, which was last season, where he was, in my opinion, at his absolute apex best last season, coming off the bench, number one. And number two, he was lower in the usage ladder in pecking order, and he was much closer to a high utility role player. His usage last year with the Lakers was 20%. His usage on bad teams has been as high as almost 30%, which is extremely high. That's Pascal Siakam level. That's how high his usage has been. And for most of the other years of his life, like when he was running, sixth man for the OKC Thunder, and spelling Russell Westbrook, and, there are other stints in Atlanta. And so far this year, he's been north of 25. Put it into perspective. Fred VanVleet wasn't even north of 25 for most of last season. There's too much Dennis Schroeder initiation going on, and I don't think he's nearly as dynamic a passer as he probably thinks he is. He's not as good a shooter as he thinks he is off the dribble, kind of creating his own shot, and he's not as good a paint finisher as anybody in his starting lineup. What do you lose by flipping Dennis and Pascal's role on offense? Why can't Pascal initiate a pick and roll with Scotty? Why does it have to be Dennis? Why is Pascal standing in a corner? You could put the ball in your best player's hands. I mean, I think we'll all agree right now that Scotty has certainly through the first 3 games been the best player. But let's say the 3 games is too small a sample size for me to shift off of Siakam being our best player. And let's say that I am much more comfortable with what the Raptors did. Look, the Raptors have had a lot of success in the past with Pascal and Scotty as point and point forward. If you recall, in Scotty's rookie season, when Precious Achiuwa was spacing the corner and hitting all those threes, when Scotty was starting at point, when Fred was going through all of his struggles, who was starting at point? How were the Raptors playing? They had some incredible performances. In the playoffs, once Fred went out, who was initiating the offense? It was one turn Siakam, one turn Barnes. I understand that Darko Rajakovic has a personal relationship with Dennis Schroeder, but please understand, this is not Chris Paul. This should not be a player who is getting touches at the expense of Siakam. And so far, his usage has been, if I recall correctly, higher than Siakam's, which is absolutely never supposed to happen, cannot happen, and probably why your half-court offense is struggling. You see, like we all have, I said that yesterday, we all have horses in the game. Y'all know that Pascal Siakam is not necessarily my horse in the game, but you will also understand that we also have things that we blame and things that we don't blame for a particular situation happening. So we might say, hey, the shooting is bad because the pick setting is bad. And we might say that the shooting is bad because this particular person is a really bad passer and they're consistently screwing up. Or we might say the shooting is bad because the roster construction is bad. We can all blame different people because at the end of the day, if you're shooting poorly, it's somebody's fault. Well, if your half-court offense is struggling, the low-hanging fruit is to say your roster sucks and you simply do not have the shooters to shoot well. Guess what? You're shooting really well and your half-court offense still sucks. So what do you actually think is the problem? I think the problem is that you have I don't know why my dog is barking so much, and I don't know why my girlfriend is struggling so hard to quiet him down, but yo, are you kidding me right now? My bad. All right. He's going nuts. I don't know why he's going nuts. Maybe somebody knocked on the door. Halloween is going to be fun. Okay. Let's look at it. Usage. Pascal Siakam's at 20.4. Chris Boucher is at 24.5. Dennis Schroeder after yesterday is at 21.5. I don't know how they're measuring usage, but one site I looked at measures usage a little bit differently and has him a little bit higher. Dennis Schroeder should not be higher in terms of usage in your offense than Pascal Siakam. He's not, as I mentioned, he's not necessarily a better passer. I don't think he's a better passer. And I don't think he's much better as a shooter. He's not much better as a shooter. Siakam is shooting crazy well, by the way, so far. Lost among his weak analytics is he's shooting above 50% above the break. I think he might be shooting almost 60% above the break. He's missed his 2 corner shots, his 2 corner threes. But other than that, he's doing so well. So maybe the fix for this offense is swap Dennis Schroeder's role with Pascal Siakam's. Does that make sense to anybody else? Okay. That's funny. Your dog is barking because Pat Bev said Toronto doesn't have any dogs. I like that he reiterated that a couple of days. He reiterated that yesterday as well. He said, like, what the hell, as I said, no dogs. Bro, like, come on. Scotty, like, really, really put up a big game against y'all. Like, you shouldn't be talking so much shit, but whatever. He's going to talk. Anyways, I think I'm going to have to end this live, unfortunately, because this is probably very distracting. And I was listening to a Thinking Basketball podcast the other day, and there was like a lot of dog barking in the background, and it was like intense. Do y'all mind if I just take a minute to I won't end this. Let me end this properly. Give me a minute and I will just make sure that my dog is okay and that my girlfriend is assisted in this. He'll calm down the second I get there. We're cool. Okay, give me 1 minute. Come. Sasha, come here. Come. Oh, you're okay. Okay. You are fine. Come on. Okay. We have an assistant on the live who's freaking out for some reason, and I don't know why he's freaking out, but it's okay. Are you okay? All right. So we got company. I'm going to become a meme for this. That's okay. Sasha, say hi to the world. Are you okay? Why are you barking? He's so funny. Okay. So my point is to say all of this is I think that it might be a slightly easier fix than we might be thinking. We're all thinking like, we got to trade half the team. It might be as simple as swapping 2 roles. Maybe it might be as simple as Otto coming back. We're in all these games. The data is pretty promising. And I know some people have it in their head that the half-court offense cannot possibly be good because that's their initial take, that the half-court offense is going to be bad. Well, I got to say, I think this half-court offense will eventually be okay. And I think it will be eventually okay because I think Scotty's a really great decision maker, because I think you have an abundance of good decision makers that are trying to figure out their spots and where they're supposed to be and how they're supposed to be. And I hope that by the 20-game mark, we are lighting the beam. And what do I mean by that? There was a certain movement last year in the NBA, which was the Sacramento Kings, and they played a very exciting brand of basketball. I don't remember the start that they got off to, but I don't think it was incredible. I could be wrong. But by year's end, they were playing some of the most beautiful basketball. I like that this team is staying positive. I think we as fans could probably learn a lesson from that and probably try to vibe a little bit positive and maybe give it a little bit more time. I think I've been very... I think I'm still traumatized from last year, to be honest with you, right? Like a little bit. Like I'm just like, oh my God, it's going to happen again. Look, they addressed the issues from last year. So they're not going to let the same thing happen, hopefully, again. And, again, my hope personally is that we see a little less usage for Dennis Schroeder going forward, that this, kind of experiments of him trying to carry over the momentum from Germany or whatever to this team is probably a little bit overstated. And hopefully, we can see a slightly more scoring first dynamic type of downhill guard. And I know that people don't think of Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes as guards. They're all, thinking they're forwards, but actually you have a tremendous amount of advantages with those guys navigating pick and rolls as ball handlers, even, with a big who doesn't shoot very well like Jakob, but especially with a big who could shoot well like Otto. So you imagine a Pascal Siakam bringing the ball down the court, or Scotty Barnes bringing the ball down the court. The other one who's not bringing the ball down the court is maybe doing some cutting, or maybe posted up in the mid post. And then you have an Otto coming up, setting a screen, a solid screen, and then popping out above the break as, whoever has the ball can go downhill, maybe spot a shooter coming off a curl like a Grady Dick, coming off the baseline, and, maybe a dribble handoff. You notice what that entire play has in common, that entire sequence has in common? Nobody needed to have shifty handles. It's the modern NBA. You don't need to play like that, right? There are a lot of great scorers who don't necessarily have the shiftiest handles. I don't think Kawhi has the shiftiest handles. I don't think Clay has the shiftiest handles. To me, the mark of a great shooter is, can you get your game off in 2 to 3 dribbles? If you can't, you're not a great shooter. You're not a great scorer. Kobe, if pushed, if he had to, could get his game off in 2 to 3 dribbles. So anyway, okay. Hopefully my dog has calmed down now. Okay. Oh my God. So. Whoops. Okay. All right. This has been a shorter live than the ones we've been doing the last few days, at least. I hope it was interesting. I'm sorry if it was a little discombobulated. The ones where all the super chats go off are very nice and very humbling. There was one more. Hang on 1 second. Flash it on the screen. Kuwata from Mars. Your dog was barking in response to Pat Bev claiming Toronto ain't got no dogs. Dogs gonna be dogs sometimes. It's really funny. Thank you so much. Anyways, I will join you guys for the for the live tomorrow after the Portland game, and then it's Portland next, and then we have Milwaukee, and then we have Philly. Milwaukee, Philly back to back. The schedule gods really did us no favors, right? And the reason I want to stress, kind of having patience with this offense is because I think that they're trying to do the right things, right? I really do. I think they're trying to do the right things. And, they're finally they're building the offense around, I think, one of their better decision makers. If they want to build the offense around 2 better decision makers and 2 maybe more dynamic scoring options, I think Siakam is probably better suited to that role than Dennis. And I think Dennis could really thrive as an off-ball, release valve for, and maybe even a tertiary creator. It's difficult. I'm sure Dennis hasn't really played with 2 players like Siakam and Scotty. I hope that at some point they'll figure it out. I'm pretty sure in a contract year, with his numbers where they are, I'm sure the conversations are already ongoing. And I would be very surprised if Pascal Siakam does not come out in a huge game against Portland. They don't really have anyone that can really stop him other than Jeremy Grant. And yeah, I'm hoping for a better game from Siakam. I'm hoping for a continuation of what we've seen from Scotty and Grady. But overall, I think the Raptors are getting a lot of data on their last 2 draft picks, or 2 of their last 3 draft picks, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing. So yeah, back up tomorrow, 500. Okay. With OG, we 3-0 right now? Probably, yeah. Because with OG in Chicago, you don't go to overtime. You don't burn yourself out that way. Hang on. There were some more things I wanted to flash here. So this is Pascal Siakam. You can take a look at his usage against Philadelphia. The game, like, his usage has gone down every single game that we've played. Right. Again, this is from Cleaning the Glass. I am obligated to say that. Points per shot attempt, not great, right? But it's getting a little bit better. He's been slightly more efficient every single game. So maybe this trend goes up. And maybe, if his usage is in Philadelphia what it was in Minnesota, because he's technically Philly, the stat line doesn't look impressive, but it was his best game in terms of efficiency. He just did all his damage really quickly, and then he sort of stopped taking shots. And, again, in yesterday's live, I think I was a little bit out of pocket when I said, where are your balls, whatever. Like, shit, I was very upset when people did that to Scotty last year. I shouldn't have done that to him. It is young in the season. He's trying to figure it out. But as I said in my live this morning, to everyone who said he's selfish and he's this and he's that, and he's just like Fred, I think it begs the question, what kind of a selfish person takes 8 shots in a career year in a marquee matchup, game that people are really watching? And I think this guy's really committed to winning, man. I don't know. Like, everyone has it in their head, like, he's here because he wants the All NBA. Bro, I hope his agent has told him he's getting a max from us or somebody else. He's getting a max. That's assured. I'm almost positive. It would take such a disastrous fall off. So I think that we just need to try and give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to try. I'm going to do my best. I was very, very favorable about him up until yesterday. Preseason, I was very good with him. I think I kept, saying it's such a good thing that he's playing off the ball more. He's giving Scotty more run. He's giving, all these guys time to gel. I think we have yet to see anything close to the best of Siakam. And look, coming into this season, I don't think most people were debating who your best player really is, right? I think we can all agree that he's your best scorer, at least. Maybe he's not your best player anymore. I don't know. Maybe Scotty has really become this guy, 5.7 box plus minus. That is not something that I've ever seen from Siakam on a sustained basis, but also 3 games. But if Scotty does not sustain that, then maybe at the end of the year, you have 3 guys who are almost dead even. Scotty, OG, Pascal. Maybe they're all dead even. It's not so bad. One guy's 29, one guy's 26, one guy's 22. Like, that's shit. And they're all very valuable player types. So hopefully by the end of the year, or hopefully within a few games, we'll see like Pascal Siakam find his way in this offense. I am going to do my very, very best to be a lot more patient and understanding of what he's going through, because again, listening to Darko Rajakovic really puts it into perspective. He's happy with what he's doing. He wants him to continue passing, and he does believe that eventually, once they put in all the wrinkles of the offense and once everybody gets comfortable, then we will see this offense work for even Pascal Siakam. So I hope that continues to be the trend, that, and again, everyone's really happy. And Pascal Siakam said it too. Vibes are always good when you're winning. So I don't want people to start like panicking super hard if they fall to like 1-3 tomorrow. I know it will be panicky, but if you're coming here for a post-game reaction tomorrow, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to write it on my hand. Don't overreact tomorrow. So I'm going to do my best. Okay. I'm going to try to be more reasonable this year. That was my goal coming into this year. I'm like, man, stop freaking out. It's like, try to be a little bit more balanced, try to be more reasonable. And yesterday I just kind of like blasted off on Siakam and Schroeder. And I've been kind of like doing that with Flynn too. So I'm like, chill. So let me try to be better. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much to everyone who loves Super Chats, man. I really appreciate it. There's just so many comments of like trade Siakam, trade. Pirtle aged 10 years since last season. I've seen this comment a lot. Actually, Jakob Pirtle has done pretty well apart from last game. Could be injured. Jonathan Isaac is back and could be the answer. Second center and real defense. I love Jonathan Isaac. Again, one of my favorite players. And if he is available, I think he makes $17 million. His injury history does scare me a lot, but if he's doing well, he's very vital to Orlando's hopes. What I'm very curious about right now, as I've mentioned in several lives, is which team gets desperate and when, right? Because at some point, a team is definitely going to get desperate. These teams that go down 0-5, 0-6, 0-7, or even 1-8, they might swing the hammer because this is just not a league in which you can recover after getting off to a start that bad. For the Raptors, I think these are tough games, right? But it's hard to say what's an easy game at this point. Is Indiana an easy game? No. Is Detroit an easy game right now? It's not easy. No. Kate is, playing pretty well. Jaden Ivey is going to present a lot of issues for your second unit, right? I mean, if you thought we were going to be contenders this year, sorry to disappoint. This is not a contention year. This is a rebuilding year in which you hope to be competitive enough to have a chance at the playoffs at the end of the year. And if at the end of the year, for me at least, what will be success? Scotty finishes the year as a definitive all-star, whether he makes the all-star team or not, whether he finishes a season as an all-star. OG continues to ascend and be as good as he's now or close to it. I think that would be really great. Even if you have to max him out as a result, that's totally fine. He's definitely part of the core for me. And, we keep seeing more and more from Grady. I have a feeling you're going to see different things every single week with this guy. I think he has playmaking potential that we haven't even touched yet. Again, at 6'8", 6'9", you have to understand the advantage of those big playmakers. There's not a lot the defense could do to bother them. Everything about the Raptors' defensive philosophy has been length, 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 length. Well, what counters length? Height. Height counters length to some extent, right? I mean, hypothetically, if you had a 7'2" guy with a 7'2" wingspan or a 7'1" wingspan, would he get blocked every day? No, because he has an abundance of height. Height can definitely offset, especially on offense, wingspan. And bigger playmakers have been a trend in the NBA, whether we're talking about Paolo, whether you're talking about Shea, whether you're talking about Josh Giddey. We're talking big playmaker, big playmaker. Why? Advantage generation, seeing over the defense is very important. Smaller playmakers, they struggle in a tower, in a paint full of trees. So having a guy like Grady who reads, reacts so well, who's big, who has this quick shot, and he's shot ready, and you don't need to teach him how to shoot. Defensively he struggled yesterday for sure, but he's doing his best. He's in the right places. He's just a little bit late. Everything's just a little bit late with him right now, except for the shot preparedness. You'll see. I have a very comfortable feeling that he might, just end up becoming like a very vital piece for this bench because nobody else is really giving competition for those minutes. I'm curious to see if, maybe tomorrow night he gets like another 25, 26 minutes. And if that's what it is, then Gary Trent Jr., look out, because you might just be losing your first guard off the bench role very quickly. Gary needs to be better too. We haven't talked about Gary too much, trying to be lenient to the fact that he's coming off the bench. He is adjusting to new offense, new role, etc. But yesterday was not a good Gary Trent game. We don't really talk about it very much. So I'm hoping for, against his old team, Gary Trent will bounce back tomorrow, and hopefully Grady can continue it and Scotty can continue his ascent to superstardom. All right. Take care, guys. Again, thank you so much for the super chats and easy win. I don't think so. Thank you so much, man. I'm calling in tomorrow. Okay, perfect. Please call in. That would be awesome. And then we can become the Orlando Magic from the past 2 seasons. Is that really what you want? Somebody awesome. Thank you so much, man. I saw a tweet yesterday or today from somebody saying, Paolo is basically Scotty with more usage. And this year their numbers are sort of flipped because the usage has gone down and up and whatever. Scotty's a lot better than Paolo for me. I think Scotty's a better player than Paolo. He's a better athlete. He's a better defender. I think he's a slightly better passer. Again, the only advantage Paolo had, Scotty is slowly closing that gap too, which is as an offensive player, space creator, shooter, etc. So yeah, once Scotty gets the skills up, there will be no competition between those two players. Just my opinion. All right. Cheers. And yes, take care, everyone. And if you have to work in the morning, work hard, work smart, not hard, please. Sheridan Forbes, always with the coolest and best advice and comments. Very nice. Thank you so much. Suggs would definitely fit here. Yeah, I spent a lot of time shitting on Jalen Suggs around the draft, and I really didn't want us to pick him. But yes, he would fit very well next to Scotty. Not in place of Scotty, but next to Scotty, he would be great. I don't rate him still. Like I still like. I mean, would I take him top 6 in that draft? Yes, but I wouldn't take him over Evan Mobley. I wouldn't take him over Scotty Barnes. I wouldn't take him over Josh Giddey. I wouldn't take him over Franz. And there might be one more player I might not take him over. So yes, 2021 draft is starting to show up. This is the third year for all those guys. But I think Cade is either 5 or 6 or 7 in that draft class right now. And he was picked number 1. So, but he's a very interesting and very potentially devastating offensive player. We'll see if it materializes. All right. Talk to y'all later, man. Good take. He is upper mid. Peace, guys.